Hello, welcome to Craft Beer Week. I'm excited to present these three awesome beers for you from all over the world. So first one we have here is from a brewery called Kizakura. It's from Fushimi, Kyoto. This brewery also makes sake. They're very famous for sake nigori, one of the cloudiest and richest and sweetest ones I've had. But little did I know they make amazing beer too. So let's try this one out. This is made with Uji matcha. So matcha from the region of Uji, which is not far from Fushimi in Kyoto Prefecture. This is an IPA, so it's a matcha IPA. Very high IBUs, so 70.6. In relation to IBUs for, let's say, Budweiser. Budweiser is 7 IBUs. IBU is an international bitterness unit. And that's what makes IPA special. It has very high IBUs. So you can see this color is crazy. Look at that, wow. Super green. And the foam, wow. I mean, this is like the perfect beer for St. Patty's. I would rather drink a matcha flavored beer than like a shamrock shake style, yuck. Anyway, so on the nose, it's quite subtle, I would say, but there's a little bit of a hoppiness there. So I don't think you have to be a matcha lover to like this because it has kind of a rich maltiness as well. It's not coming off sweet, but I do believe some of that sweet-esque notes are balancing the hoppiness because you're not getting a ton of hops here. You're definitely getting a ton of that smooth matcha flavor. And if you're not familiar with matcha, it is quite vegetal, but it has umami. It has a character that really grows on you if you get into it. Yeah, I mean, if you focus on it, there's a lot of hops here. You get that intense bitterness, but because it's so balanced, it's really presenting that matcha absolutely well. The Uji matcha is known for its mellowness, for its softness, for that elegant and sophisticated green tea note. So yeah, this is a winner. I did go to this brewery when I went to Fushimi, and that's when I realized they make beer as well, and they have a restaurant, and it's called Kizakura Kappa Country. So kappa is folklore. It's a yokai, oni, aka demons. The kappa is weird because it's a aquatic creature that kind of looks like a reptile, and he's known for trickery and some more debaucherous activity like strange sexual things and, you know, drowning of humans. It gets really creepy with the kappa. When the kappa's not in the water, he has this dip in his skull that needs liquid. And if you are, I guess, you know, approached by a kappa and he wants to do some kind of fight with you, the best way to win is to make him lose that liquid because he can't be on land without it. Okay, so the point is I accidentally walked into a closed museum. I can't read Japanese, so I didn't know that it said closed on the door. The door was still open. I walk in. You know, the lighting was natural, so I wasn't thinking twice about that. The lights were actually off. And it was an entire part of their sake museum devoted to the folklore of the kappa. And I swear, just look up kappa folklore on Wiki and you're gonna see some weird stuff. I went through half of this museum kind of weirded out, but also I realized I was in a closed museum I wasn't supposed to be in. Look up the kappa. I'm still weirded out by it. I think it's funny that that's their mascot, and I know that they mean it in a positive way. You know, the positive parts of the kappa folklore. Kappas are still used on some signs to warn children not to mess around near lakes and rivers because the kappa could come drown you. So it's kind of one of those stories. Anyway, let's go to the next beer. Next beer is from my hometown, Berkeley, California, Fieldwork Brewing Company. So they were established in 2014, but they started brewing early 2015, and their first location was in Berkeley. They have 7 locations now, and it's only been, what, 6-7 years? They had a skyrocket of success, and I don't doubt it because their beers are the best beers around. They do an especially good job with their IPAs and their sours. There's always, you know, a good stout or a sweeter, crazier chocolate or milk stout or whatever, and usually I'm drinking those. But they get a little sweet and fruity and fun with the sours too. So this is a Kettle sour ale. Again, I'll turn it around so you can see. It's a sherbet dip, and it's brewed with raspberries, oranges, limes, pineapple, vanilla, and milk sugar. And this one has a pretty high ABV. So this one here was 8.5, pretty sure, yeah. And then this one is 9. And with the previous, I really didn't taste it either. But it does tend to get hard to hide higher alcohol content in beer, especially when it's pushing the Trappist levels, like 8 through 10%. You need either high IBUs or a lot of sugar to kind of balance it out. So this is a sour, like I said. This is also a Fieldwork glass, really pretty. And I love the lip to it. I love when a glass is formed properly. Oh, and it really does smell like sherbet. Like, I mean, nowadays I don't eat sherbet, but it does have a small place in my heart, maybe a very small place. I used to have it as a kid. You know, I wished it was ice cream, but it was all right. Oh, it's so good. It's so fruity. And yes, there's some residual sugar, but not a lot. The sourness is there. It's kind of cranberry-esque. And it's just all of those aromas I told you about. The raspberry, the orange, the lime, the pineapple, it's all coming out. I would never in a million years think this was a 9% ABV beer. It's so good. And now I realize my boyfriend's gonna kill me. I'm opening all these beers, but they're all mine, whatever. Yeah, so I have a really pretty array. I have this beautiful, rich green beer, and then I have this awesome, vivacious red. Yeah, I mean, their sours are out of control. This is so good, and you have to just check them out. Every week they have different stuff. They just go through, they brew it, and then it's gone. They have locations in Berkeley, Napa, Sacramento, San Ramon, San Mateo, Corte Madera, and I'm missing one. I don't know where. Okay, so where you're getting the alcohol here, I just noticed it's kind of like a Flintstone vitamin thing, but it's so subtle. And if you don't focus on that and you just focus on all the beautiful fruit and that milk sugar and that vanilla, it's all good. Okay, now we're getting to my ultimate favorite. This is probably my favorite beer. I love this brewery, Echtschlenkerla. This is a rauchbier, so it's a smoke beer from Bamberg, Germany. And there are really almost no breweries making smoke beer anymore. There's one other one in the town of Bamberg called Spezial. And this one is considered like the quintessential smoke beer. This is the brand you want to go to. And they have all different varieties. They have Lent beer. They have Marzen. This is a Marzen. So it's a classic Oktoberfest style. The Lent beer I had recently was so malty and so smoky. It's like drinking liquid campfire or sausages. It's so weird, but it's so amazing. The Marzen is good because it's a little more balanced. There's a bit more bitterness to even out that smoke, and it's not as malty as the Lent beer. The Lent beer is traditionally made for Lent, which, hey, today's Ash Wednesday. Hey, Catholics out there. This is not the Lent beer, but I'll just pretend. This was when people actually fasted during Lent and they needed that, you know, nourishment so they could continue the daily duties. Not to confuse you, this is the Marzen. But I had the Lempier recently and it was amazing. So this is cool because before indirect heating industrial kilns, everything was smoked. So to dry out the malts, you would use beechwood, and then the smoke from the beechwood would actually affect the beer. And this is made in that historic style. It's also a recipe that goes back to the Bavarian purity law of 1516, which is kind of like junmai and sake, where you can only have malt, hops, and water. And they included yeast later, but they made that rule before they knew about the microorganism yeast. So this is basically a junmai. I thought that was interesting. It's totally pure. It's also unfiltered. Okay, yeah, I'm smelling campfire and sausages, like I mentioned. Yeah, so this one, in comparison to the Lempier, is a little more watery, more refreshing. The hops are a touch higher. I like it. I really like it. It's more of a session beer. It's more like, okay, I can drink like 3 of these. Again, it's an Oktoberfest style, so you want it to be drinkable. But I just want the Lempier back because it was sweet and it was rich and flavorful and amazing. But again, classic Schlenkerla smoke beer. And it's crazy that they're available, I mean, all over the US. And it's only a small brewery in Bamberg in Bavaria. So if you want to find some really eclectic and cool craft beer, this is what you should look at. Look at the Kyoto Matcha IPA by Kizakura. I got this at Berkeley Bowl in town, but I've seen this in a lot of Japanese-oriented grocery stores. So check that out. Field work, you have to go to the brewery. So if one of the breweries is actually in your town, go check it out, go pick up. They're doing outdoor seating now, I believe. But if you are not in the East or South Bay or even the North Bay, you're not going to be able to find this one, unfortunately. I'm assuming one day they will, you know, get to that higher level and be available all over, but not yet. Yeah, and then Schlenkerla, just go to, you know, a beer retailer that has special stuff and you'll find it. So good. Okay, so there you have it. These are our beers of the week, and next week we'll be doing Spirits of Mexico. We'll have a sotol, a bacanora, and a smoked mezcal. I'll see you then.